Alrighty, so this is what comes in the kit. We've got the two large grills to replace the existing grill. They're printed in two parts because the printer is not big enough. You'll need to cut these little circular bits. Again, they're just there for printing. You'll notice that they're directing, this is on the left side of the car. On the right side, it is to direct the air out of the wheel well as much as possible as well. These are the other grills that you're going to cut out completely that add a lot of cooling. We've got templates that you mark and cut the plastic, and these are just used to glue these together. A fair bit of design work was done to make sure that these are going to be easy to install and also really functional. So they actually fit. If you go from out of the wheel well, they'll actually push through. So all the way around there's a lip. So if you cut through the plastic and you go a little bit wide, it'll still be covered by the lip and you're not going to get all dirt and mud going out of your wheel well into the rest of the car and the radiators. They do have small 3mm holes that have all been printed, so you can cut out the plastic, put them in place, do a quick pilot hole, and then drill them out to the proper 6mm. These templates are reversible, so you'll notice that that's for that side. You flip the template over, that will be on the other side. That works for both of the templates. Use these to just mark the plastic and cut it, which we'll do next. And these are just there to glue on that. So let's go ahead and have a look at how everything fits onto the guard. Alright, so for the large grill, it comes in two pieces. You've got to remove these two tabs. The grills will fit like that. They need to be flush, so these need to be cut off. So just use some side cutters to cut off the tabs and then file it back. It will look like yay. Alright, so the easiest way to glue these together to make sure they're in place is to use a bit of acetone. Anything else won't work. This plastic is ASA, similar to ABS in that it does dissolve with acetone. So use a little dropper bottle. That's what these are for. So you put a few drops here, a few drops there, put that on top, rub it around, and that will fuse the plastic together. So make sure they're all lined up nicely in parallel. And go ahead and fuse these together. It'll probably take about half an hour to an hour or so for that to fully dry before you can start to do the next step. So probably do this first out of everything. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is obviously take your wheels off. Little trick, right, 130 Newton meters onto the bolts. So when you need to take them off later, you don't have to look up on the forums and figure out what your bolt torques are. Alright, so now with the wheel off, we'll need to remove the inner guard. So you've got a Torx there, 1, 2, 3. They simply pull out. There is a special tool to get behind them, or just gently pull them straight out. At the top there is another Torx, a small Torx here as well. And then down under here, you'll see another 3 Torx bolts that need to be undone. So go ahead and undo all of those, and then this will just pull out. Alright, so here's the little tool. So you get behind these ones, just leverage them forward, or you can just pull them out with your finger. They're like a little rivet, plastic rivet. They do get a little bit damaged when you take them out, but they'll still work okay. You could replace them as well. Alright, so all the fasteners have been undone, and this just pulls out. You'll need to, around the side here, push it in and unclip it from around there, and that should just pop out pretty much. Alright, so this is looking inside the guards. These are for the intercooler circuit. Down there, inside under there, is the radiator. Apparently getting a little bit more air through will actually get some benefits to the radiator as well. But just a quick little sneaky as to what it looks like inside. So this is a quick look at the inner guards. That's looking at it from the inside. So we're going to be adding cooling here, there, and just redoing this as well. That's what it looks like on the other side. So I believe this is actually a polyethylene plastic, which is notoriously difficult to try and join or glue anything to. Hence, we're going to use some fasteners. All right, so this is the guard from the left wheel well. Again, you'll notice that that's the grill and they go in like that. So this will actually protrude from inside the grill and that'll sit flush. That's one. This is the other one. For these ones, they look similar. You'll notice that there's these little cutouts. The more cutouts there are, the one with the larger amount of cutouts goes at the top because that needs to be heated and bent to the right angle. And this other one goes to the bottom. So again, to mark these out, put it in place to make sure that you've got the right orientation. It'll be going like that. You then put the template in place. The template is flexible, so just be careful. And you can just go around that basically with even a black texture will actually highlight okay. Trace around that with a black texture, making sure that it's in the right position. And then we'll cut that out with a knife. All right, so we can see that that's being marked up just with some black texture. Again, you want to check that you've got the correct orientation and then that sits through there. Now this is a really soft plastic. You're going to cut this out and throw it away. So what I would suggest is to just get your normal knife and actually just do some practice cuts on the bit that you're going to throw out. Don't try and cut through the entire plastic in one go. Just very gently make the first cut, second, third. You'll cut through it progressively with a good sharp knife pretty easily, and it just makes sure that you're not going to make any mistakes or chop your finger off. So go ahead and mark out all the panels and cut out your two little sections. All right, so we've got the cutouts done. So again, they go into the holes like yay. When you flip it over, they'll fall out, obviously. That's how they will be looking. The next step is to drill out your holes. Again, just use little pilot holes that are here, and then use bigger holes depending on the particular fasteners. Alright, so this is how we fasten it in place. I use these particular fasteners. They're like a little plastic rivet that you put a small screw into. They are a 6mm diameter and the head's about 15 or 19 or so. You simply push them through the holes. Once they're in there, you then screw them in. And on the other side, you could see that just like a normal rivet, they will expand and hold the grill in place. Again, because they are on the back side, the wind's going to be pushing them in, so it's not as though they're going to, if we fasten them from this side and they fell out, they'd go onto the wheel, etc. But because they're coming in, you've got all that shroud around it. There's no way that they will be falling into the wheel well or ever coming out if one or two of these did actually fail. So go ahead and put the rest of those in, and then we'll cut this one out. Alright, so this is the main large grill. Now there's no template for this one, so this one's kind of important. The way it's been designed and sized is so that you cut that way instead of cutting down. So if you do cut that way, it's probably going to be an extra 2mm wider than it should. So go all the way around that. It just makes it easier to cut with the guide. Up here, you'll need to cut those down as well. So cut all the way around, all up the side to take that part out. Okay, so with the main bit cut out, you'll see that this is of course flat and it needs to be bent. So this is why we've got those little cutout grooves there. This plastic will start to deform at about 120 degrees. If you've got a really good heat gun that you can set the temperature to about 120 degrees. Then what you can do is to start to just hold it like that and press it into shape and just heat up these particular areas. You probably want to put about 20 to 30 seconds of heat, just holding that nice and firmly to see how it bends, back and forth, back and forth. Again, you want to make sure that you don't melt it so it's soft. It'll just get a little bit easier to deform, it'll cool off, and then it'll stay in the right shape. You'll also notice that there are more grooves at the top than the bottom. That's because the top needs to be bent more. So you probably want to, again, like just hold it in shape, different levels to bend the tabs, to bend the main bit, and just get it to match the shape back and forth, back and forth. All right, so we've got that bent into shape. When you put it there, it should be just a little bit less bent than what it needs to, so that when you actually fix it in place, it'll be sealing nicely here. If it's too bent, then you may get a little bit of a gap here, which would probably make no difference, but what the hey. So go ahead, drill those through and put the fasteners in. And there we are, all installed. You'll notice that all the airflow is out of the wheel arch, and you should have very little ability for everything to get through in terms of mud back into the rest of the car. And then the installation is the reverse of the removal. All right, to save you going back to the very start of the video again, we've got a push-in clip, push in, that one's a screw Torx. There's the large Torx here, the small Torx there. At the top is a large Torx, and then you've got the 3 Torx under here with a little diffusory thing. And then put the wheel back on before you start driving and you should be good to go.